Alright, here's our 1.4 homework help video. Starting with number 1, I've got two fractions that I'm adding together. I've got one of them being positive, one of them being negative. So this means I'm going to end up subtracting them. Okay, something like that. Right, I'm thinking, do they have common denominators? Yep, they do. It's going to be a 9. 5 minus 2 is 3. We're going to keep the sign of the greater absolute value, which in this case is the positive. So 3/9 would be our answer. Otherwise, we can simplify down to 1/3. Okay, number 2, I've got negative 8.75 plus 2.43. Right, I have a negative and a positive coming together. Again, those two are opposite signs, so we're going to subtract. We're going to put the bigger value on top, which is 8.75 minus 2.43. 5 minus 3, 2, 2. Or 7 minus 4 is 3. 8 minus 2 is 6. I'm going to take the value of or sign of the greater absolute value, which in this case would be negative. So my answer is negative 6.32. Okay. For number 6, I'm just adding, making sure I'm lining up my decimals right. 7126 plus 14.033. Make sure your decimals are aligned. This blank spot underneath the 6 can be filled in with a 0 there. And now we can just add together. 6, 5, 4, 7. That is 12. And I get 32. So my answer here would be 32. And 7,456 10,000ths. Okay. Number 10 and 11 asks us to use integer counters to find the difference here. Okay. So the way we use integer counters with subtraction is a little different. I have obviously a plus here for the positive one, but now I'm trying to take away 4 positives, right? I can get rid of 1 positive right there, but I have still 3 more to take away. Okay? If you remember, anytime I have a plus and a minus together, right, those cancel out and they equal 0. So really what we're going to do is we're going to start adding in some other numbers, okay? Technically that's still 0. That's still 0. And that's still 0. Now, what was the purpose of me doing all this? Well, in a second you'll see that by doing this, and starting out here, I need to take away 4 positives. Okay, there's one of my positives taken away. Since all these are zeros, I can still treat them as like, there's a positive somewhere, but there's always a negative to cancel it out. So that'd be my second, my third, and my fourth, leaving us with negative 3. Okay, for number 11, kind of the same thing, except now I'm working with negatives. Okay, I'm trying to take away negative 6, or take away 6 negatives. Okay, which means I'm going to need to add in some extra 0 pairs in order to do so. Okay, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, meaning I am left with positive 4. For number 12 and 13, it says write an addition expression and write a subtraction expression represented by the number line, then evaluate. Right? For my addition, right, I see that I went to 4 first, so that's my first number. And then I'm adding, well, I went backwards, so I know it's going to be negative. And how many did I go backwards? 1, 2, 3. So 4 plus negative 3 would work. For subtraction, right, still start out at 4, but now subtraction just says go the opposite way. This is just going to be 4 minus 3. Okay? Both of these, no matter which one you do, you're going to end up back at 1. For number 13, our first number for both is going to be negative 2. When we add, it looks like we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's positive because I went to the right. For subtracting, right, I have to think about if I'm taking away something, I'm taking away negatives. so I'm taking away negative 5 because, right, we could take away the two initial negatives and then I would be dealing with like a situation above where I have to add in these little zero pairs and take away the rest of the negatives there, leaving me with positive 3 either way. Okay. 15, 16, 17, 24, 28. Okay, it says find the difference, use the number line to verify your answers. You can certainly do that. I am going to use a little bit of karate math, right? I see we have a subtract negative, which is a chop-chop situation. So there's a chop, there's a chop. 8 plus positive 5, well, that's just 13. Okay. For the next one, right, we never touch the first one. First one always stays the same. Negative 6 minus negative. Okay, minus negative is another chop chop. So now I have negative 6 plus positive 7. Right, 6 negatives, 7 positives. They're going the opposite ways on the number line. Which one wins? Well, the positives win by 1. Okay, so the next one. Never touch the first one. Now I see minus and then a positive 3, meaning this is going to be a chop slash situation. Okay, now I've just got negative 2 plus negative 3. Just adding negatives at this point. How many total are there? 5 of them. Alright, don't touch the first one. I see a subtract minus, so we're going to chop and chop. Negative 9 plus positive 13. Alright, I can subtract these and I end up with 4. 13 is the greater of the two values, so it's going to stay positive, meaning my answer is positive 4. Lastly, for 28, I see a subtract negative, so we're going to add positive. 32 plus positive 6 ends up being 38. Okay, number 30. It says your friend finds the difference. Is your friend correct? All right. Well, it looks like they said 7 minus negative 12 is the same as 7 plus 12, which is 19. Okay, here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking to see they saw a minus and a negative, so they should chop, chop. I have the plus sign. This 12 changed to positive, so everything lines up there. 7 plus 12 is 19, so I would say yes. And I could say like karate math was performed correctly. Okay, I also could say something like, looking at the integer counters, if I'm trying to take away negatives and I only had positives to start with, right, I should end up at a bigger positive number. Okay, something like that. Number 33 says the figure shows the diver diving from a platform. The diver reached a depth of 4 meters. What's the change in elevation of the diver? Some of us might be really quick to say, oh, it's this, 10 minus 4. Well, 4 meters would be like right about here, meaning he's still in the air. Okay, so when it says a depth of 4 meters, it really means he went under the water 4 meters to negative 4. Okay, so my change in elevation is always the greatest point of elevation minus the lowest point of elevation. Okay, so setting up, I should have 10 minus negative 4. From there, I have a subtract negative, which results in a chop chop. 10 plus positive 4 is 14 meters of change. He went all the way down to the water and then went 4 below for a total of 14. All right, 39 and 40 tell how the commutative and associative properties of addition can help you evaluate the expression using mental math. Okay, well, the associative property says I can move my parentheses around as long as I keep my signs the same. Okay, so what I am going to do is I'm going to actually take away the initial one and say, since this is just all addition, okay, I can still do that. From here, my commutative property says I can kind of flip around different things as I please as long as I keep the same sign. So I'm going to take this part and I'm going to switch it with this part right here to go 13 minus 13 plus negative 28. Okay, why would I do that? Well, 13 minus 13, that's 0. Plus negative 28 is just negative 28. Okay, well, the way it helps us is it can help us find 0 pairs right away. And then from there, it is easy to work with. There we go. All right, for number 40, all right, my commutative property is going to help us out here a little bit. I would say that negative 47 minus 8, I can actually make this a little bit easier by moving my parentheses to here. Okay, that would be associative. Negative 2 plus negative 47, that's just adding negatives, so I'm at negative 49 minus 8. Here I see a subtract positive number, so that's going to result in a chop slash. 49 plus 8 is 57, and we're going to keep it negative. Number 44, evaluate the expression when k is negative 3, m is negative 6, n is 9. Okay, I have the absolute value of negative 6 when I plug in for m, minus k is negative 3, so we're going to keep the negative there. Don't just drop it because we see subtraction sign. Notice in this one there's no n, so I don't have to worry about plugging that in. Before we can take the absolute value of anything, we have to work through what's inside. Okay, I see a subtract, negative. That's a chop and a chop. Okay, which leads me to negative 6 plus positive 3. 6 negatives, 3 positives. The result of that is going to be 3 negatives. Then from there I can say, okay, now the absolute value of negative 3 is equal to 3. Only at the end, when I have just a number inside, can I take the absolute value. Last problem here, modeling real life. The table shows the record monthly high and low temperatures for a city in Alaska. Okay, and it's asking which month has the greatest range of temperatures, which range of temperatures, and then what is the range of temperatures for the year. Okay, so really what we're doing is we're figuring out how much are each of these ranges here. So if I was to kind of write this out for the first one, range is always taking the highest value minus the lowest value. So in this case, it's 56 minus 35. Okay, if I do 56 minus negative 35 would end up being a chop-chop, meaning I'm adding these two together. I get 1 and 9. So my range for the first one here is 91 degrees. And I can go through and I can add all these up. Okay, for the next one, I have 57. Chop, chop, lets me add 38. We get 95. Next one would be 80. Then we would get 87. This one is positive, so I'm not going to chop, chop it. Okay, I'm just going to subtract 82 minus 1 is 81. 92 minus 29 is going to end up being, if I do this really quick, 3 and 2, or 6. Okay, so I get 63 for a range. Okay, this one ends up being 50. This one is 54. This one ends up being 54 as well. 64 minus a negative 6, so now I'm adding again. This would be 70. This would be 83. And finally, 89. You can go through and check all those. Right, if you wanted to, you could certainly go through and add them all up. Okay, so it says what month has the greatest range of temperatures. So I'm looking for the greatest number in my new column here. I see that February has the highest at 95 degrees. My range of temperatures from the year, well, I'm going to look at the highest temperature and then out of the entire year, and then compare it to the lowest temperature for the entire year. My highest temperature I see is in June with 92. My lowest temperature I see is going to be in February at negative 38. Right, I have a chop situation going on here. 92 plus 38 is going to be 130 degrees Fahrenheit for the range. Right, there's our 1.4 homework help.